if I look like a hot mess, it's because I was out in the sweaty, humid heat of Virginia mucking out a duck house. Okay. So sorry. I'm looking a little rough right now. Have you ever been anticipating a conversation that you didn't want to have with somebody and it just evokes those feelings of anxiety and nerves? That's kind of how I feel about discussing the painting. Look at this embarrassing aftermath. I completely neglected to clean up. At least I got my brushes washed. They're in the bathroom, so that's good. But I gotta clean this up so I can start on the next project. I don't like talking about the fact that I have anxiety because it makes me anxious. Isn't that stupid? I mean, or maybe it makes total sense. I don't know. But I'm wondering if you're like that too. Are you also battling anxiety? Although, to be fair, like, who isn't these days, right? But I try to do these, I try to do these paintings to break away from those feelings because they help me, right? They help me process these negative emotions and they help me ground myself and alleviate some of them. So it was kind of ironic to work on this one and have the opposite effect a little bit. But then in the end, I just came around full circle and in the end it worked out okay, which is so apt to this painting and everything. So I guess I'll show you the process and then I'll see you at the end to explain to you what I did on this painting behind me. So this, I know this looks like total amateur hour, but this is a design that I was messing around with for a paint class because I used to have a paint and sip business. I traveled to people's houses. I also had a studio in my basement that I did a class at once, but most people didn't want to come to me. They wanted me to come to them. So the vast majority of my classes were in private residences and also at restaurants. But in any case, so sometimes I was just painting and messing around and trying to do very simple designs that could be easily replicated. Anyway, this was just a really simple thing that I just knocked out really quick and then I hated it. And it's lived down here ever since. Now this is like one of those level 3 blah 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 gallery wrapped canvases. But what I'm learning is that I don't think people buying art care really what it's on, And some people would argue that pre-bought canvas is like the worst way to go. People want it on like frames that have been made by the artist. This is very obviously not like that. This is like a mass-produced canvas, but it's nice and taut. I like that, and we like thick edges there. So this is going to be for the next project. First thing I got to do is gesso it though. And the other thing is with this canvas, I have a very, very specific concept in mind and design that I want to do. I'm going to intentionally texture this background and play around with that concept a little bit on this one and see how it goes. So first I'm going to have to gesso it, and we're going to throw some texture on it, and then it may need a second layer of gesso. I'm not sure. So, all right. But first things first, and that's the first layer. And I also just got brand new gesso that I've never tried before. Bluebird. Makes me think of my mom. She loves bluebirds. So yeah, I've only used Liquitex before, and I have a bottle of it somewhere and can't find it. So there wasn't much left of it anyway, and I needed more, so I just got this brand. So let's see how she does. Look at all this delicious, delicious texture. I'm so excited. I hope that it dries this way, because sometimes it kind of sinks down and levels out, but it's pretty thick. I am hopeful that we keep this texture. Oh, look at this spot right here. I love that. I'm so excited. I can't wait to work on this one. Now begins the waiting process. Who knows how long this is going to take to dry, as thick as it is. So, sneak peek, kind of, sort of. I don't even know if you're going to be able to tell because everything's white right now. But this down here is kind of smooth, and then it gets disrupted, and then we have texture chaos. Yes, and it only took me a third of the freaking jar brand new gesso to get all this texture on there. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I love it so much. I almost think it's good as it is and it's done. And we're done. I'm definitely feeling this texture though. I love a painting that kind of entices you to touch it. I love that. I love texture. Okay, all right. Now we wait. All right, well, it's been literal days since I've been down here, and it's late. But I wanted to get this background done so I can really focus on painting tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. But in case I haven't mentioned it yet, this is going to be a painting about anxiety and how, like, kind of my own visual representation of anxiety. So this has been down here drying for days. I ran my fingers behind it a little bit, kind of trying to bump it out just in case anything was going to crack anymore. I wanted it to crack before I started painting it. And then I tried to sit back here and peel it off because I wanted to make sure that this isn't just like so thick that it's just going to break off over time. And I can't get it off. I mean, I could if I really tried, but it's not easy to break off, so that's great. So I feel confident that I can go ahead and start layering paint on top of it, which is what I'm going to do. So yeah, I'm going to get the camera into position and we're painting down. And then hopefully tomorrow it'll be dry enough that I can paint it up. We didn't write down on the canvas yet what we're working on, so here we go. Oh, what did I do that for? Whoops. Well, I guess I can't use that as a thumbnail. Apparently I'm switching up languages here. There we go. Hey, I'm Laura, aka Ellie. Forgot to mention that. Also, I wanted to point out that I am in my storage room. I mentioned this in the last video, but in case you didn't see my last video, I decided I'm not going to wait anymore to start making videos. I was waiting to have the perfect studio, and it just hasn't been happening on the timeline that I was hoping. So I've been working in my storage room, making art, so that's why it looks so cluttered in here. It's because it is. But hopefully the studio upstairs will be ready soon. I was originally not going to bring the darkness so like close into the center, but I just cannot resist this texture. And so I wanted to dry brush over it to emphasize the texture. And I think I'm going to do that on the outside too. But my battery's about to die, so I don't know if I'm going to show you guys that, but I will show you when we're done with the background. If I look a little bit like a hot mess, it's because I am. I was outside all morning with my bestie. We went to the farmer's market, who had some artisans there. I took some footage, but that's for another video. But I wanted to show you the freaking awesome apron I got. New Wing Studio. I don't know if they're in Charlottesville or what. I'll try to remember to put the information below, but the chick who runs it, she makes all her own patterns and then has fabric done up and then makes things out of them. And so because I got paint on myself, even though, okay, so to be fair, I have smocks. Right there. I just went to the thrift store. But I love this. Look at this print. How cute is this? On linen. I love it. And so I thought, well, you know what? Not that I want to get paint all over something I love like this, but then it's down here. I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to have sleeves, you know, and it has pockets, so I can stick some stuff down in there if I want to. I don't know. I just liked it a lot. I thought it was super cute. And we're going to be wearing this now. So if you're wondering where it came from, now you know. All right. Fish apron. Engage. As I was editing this video, I had a thought, and that thought was, if you're suffering, but you're not making art, what is even the point? Why go through the suffering and not bring something positive out of it? Because if you go back in our time, or even in all of history, really, the greatest art ever created, the greatest books ever written, the greatest poetry, all those things came from pain and suffering. And it puts you in a place where you're passionate or you're feeling really deeply, and that translates into your art, you know? So, huge bummer. I don't know if this is in frame, I'll get you a closer picture of it, but I wanted this to represent me down at the bottom. I just wanted to do colors that I liked, get the palette knife out to make it very textured, because that's the name of the game on this picture, is texture. And I started out liking how it looked, but I think I've gone too crazy with the colors. And even though there is a certain amount of harmony to this, and even like maybe the whole canvas covered like this might be cool, but the way it stands, I can't unsee laundry all over the floor. And that is not what I'm going for whatsoever. This is supposed to be more representative of me and the things I like, and just like my, I don't know, enthusiasm and excitement and everything. And it's funny that this painting is about anxiety, because it's giving me anxiety right now, which is unfortunate. That the thing I love and the thing I want to use to help me get through those emotions is causing me more of those emotions, the negative ones, and I don't like that. So the bummer about it is I was hoping to finish this video today, edit it, and then get it out tomorrow. I can't do that now. It's going to take me longer, because the other thing is I use some of this additive that thickens the paint, and because of that, this takes days to cure. Like literally, it says leave to dry for 5 days. So the options are, I can scrape it all off and then hope it dries and come back to it. I can leave it and come back to it and see if I feel differently about it later, and see if I think it's done at that point, which I don't think it's gonna. My mind's not gonna change, I don't think. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just let it dry, because it is adding texture to the painting. I do like that. And then, I don't know, I might come back and just redo it all with blue and aqua tones, because that is my favorite color. I love these kind of seafoam green and minty green, and then like a pastel, dusty teal kind of colors. I like those a lot. I love those shades. So I think I might just go over all of it in those colors. And if some of these other colors kind of pop through, that's okay. I'm not sure if a palette knife is going to be the way to go on that, though. I may just end up back with my little brush doing strokes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to save this one, but I think the only thing I know right now is that I'm not going to scrape it. I'm just going to let it dry and feel it out, I guess. Worst case scenario, I can paint over the entire thing again after it dries in this gray color, in this lighter, like mid-gray tone, and try again. But for now, it's a laundry pile on a floor, and I don't like that. So, it's such a bummer. I've been working on this painting for so long. So I think what I'm going to do right now while I'm down here is just come through with a tiny brush and get a darker gray and kind of just touch up some of these pieces where the primer on the gesso was kind of showing up through the canvas, because I didn't do an undercoat of anything, which I guess maybe I should have, but I don't know. I was thinking the white coming through would be okay, but I don't like the way that looks either. So this painting is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I estimated that I would take maybe a couple hours on it, but we're way more than that into it right now, and I'm not close to being done at all. So it is what it is. Onwards and upwards, I guess. I turned the camera off and immediately changed my mind. Because I'm realizing the whole point was to have a contrast here between texture and kind of smooth flowingness, and now this is just like colorful texture and dark texture. So I'm going to scrape it. I didn't want to, because I feel like it's such a waste of paint and everything, but if I'm going to paint over it anyway, whatever. Ugh, I gotta scrape it. I'm going to scrape it. I'm going to scrape it. Alright, it's Ellie in editing mode right now. I'm going over this footage and I realized that I'm missing a couple clips here. So first of all, I ended up getting a small canvas and using the paint from this, scraping this one, and I put it onto a new canvas, which I'll show you in a second, but I was having a debate with what to do with all that excess paint. And then the other thing is, I went from the laundry pile to more of like a water style color at the bottom of this painting. And I had some footage explaining what I was doing, and that's all gone, as well as the process of actually painting it. I don't know where that footage went, so I don't know if it got corrupted or if I never hit the record button. I've done that before, so I'm not sure. But in either case, it's kind of a jump from what it looked like to what it looks like now. So my apologies, we're missing some footage here. But hopefully you're still enjoying watching this process. Oh, it's kind of cool, doesn't it? I kind of like the way that turned out. I kind of like that. Let's paint the edges when it dries with something, I don't know, figure out appropriate color. I don't know, just like a little mini, I don't know, little mini fun piece. Might add a little yellow to it. I just added a little touch yellow out there in the corner and some more of the scraped paint. Has a nice color and texture to it, so there you go. When life gives you lemons. I just had a bit of a panic trying to find my camera, not realizing that it was sitting on my tripod. Anyway, it's the next day. I still don't like the bottom, but I know what I'm going to do to fix it, so I'm just going to jump in and start doing that. I don't like that this flares up, so we're going to kind of make it more straight across, and then I'm going to fix this lighting. I don't like that that flares out. We're going to do straight down, and then maybe above the water have it highlighted, but the whole like flaring is not doing it for me, so I'm going to rework that too. Off we go. Oh my gosh, are you serious? I just did the thing. I did the thing where I hit record, and I thought I was already recording. Darn it. Okay, all I wanted to say is that the laundry pile that I painted over with this more kind of water look, it represents a lot more than just laundry. I didn't want you guys out there thinking like, oh, laundry makes her anxious. Like, what's her problem? Like, clearly she doesn't have that much going on. No, it's more representative of the never-ending things that I have to do around the house and how they pile up. And I'm sitting down here doing art when I should be addressing any of these household tasks, is how it feels. And it gives me anxiety, like this list, the house being in disorder, and then guilt on top of it for not addressing that first. And that was what I wanted to say about the pile in the picture, the pile of clothes in the picture. But I also just wanted to mention that the anxiety stuff is something I've been dealing with since I was a teenager. It was awful, major awful badness back then. And I still battle with it every now and again, but it's nothing like it was then, just this like sustained, ongoing hum in the background of bleh. And so it's not like that now, which is great. I did find that after I had my first kid, it got worse again, just because, you have a little you and your spouse to protect now. And there's a lot more threats that you become aware of in the world after you have kids. I think you're a little blissfully ignorant when it's just you, and you can kind of ignore those things, but then you become hyper vigilant when you're trying to protect a little one. And so I do feel that, and times 4 because I have 4 kids. So, it piles up and it stacks up sometimes. But in any case, you take the bad with the good. And I love my kids. I'm very happy with my life. I just wanted to make a clarification here that the source of my anxiety is not a pile of laundry, is all I'm saying. Just don't think less of me. So here we are. We're totally done on this one. I haven't figured out what name I want to call it yet. I wanted to call it like anxiety attack, but I feel like that's too obvious, But this was basically how I imagined it. So the story behind this one is the other day when I finished my last painting, the one my other video was about, the mom guilt painting, I was on such a high. I felt amazing about that painting. I was getting good feedback online about it. My husband liked it. The kids thought it was cool. Like, I liked it. I just felt really good. And then I saw some sort of headline or something, some news story that triggered my anxiety. And it was this immediate, like, deflating. Just like from like, I feel awesome to like panic in like a snap, just like that. And this was immediately the image that came to my mind, were these kind of bolts, if you will. I keep thinking of them as lightning bolts, but it's not entirely what my intention was, but I guess for the purpose of this painting, that's what we're going to call them. I imagine actually my original painting, the last abstract one, being like crushed down at the bottom of this painting with the bolts coming down and like about to touch it but not quite touching it yet, just capturing the exact moment where like those negative emotions hit. And so as you saw, my original idea of using a bunch of colors just did not work out. It was stressing me out more than anything else. And so I ended up going with the blue theme. And in the end, it really reminded me of water, which just kind of ends up being so incredibly fitting. One, because I really like rain. I mentioned that in my last video. I love rain. I love like dreary weather, overcast, that a lot of people are not crazy about. I love it. That's my favorite kind of weather. And I like water. I like running water specifically. Rivers, creeks, streams. I love that, tumbling over rocks and just being out in the woods with that sound of water in the background. I just love that so much. But anyway, what it ended up being was kind of, in my mind, this serene water that down towards the bottom is very calm, very, smooth, literally, but also figuratively. And then where the anxiety, if you will, is about to hit and touch that, the water becomes more chaotic. We have more of these yellows and reds popping through that ended up being from the original idea, but I think it was really effective here. And it kind of, the closer it gets to here, the more disrupted it gets. And so in my mind, it's just that moment of almost like anticipation. How I would imagine it is like when lightning is about to strike something and the air feels different. It changes because it's attracting that lightning down. So from accounts I've heard, you can like feel the energy shift right before lightning strikes. And that was kind of what I'm envisioning, because it's like that instant, ugh, and then bam, then you're out with it. And what I like about the fact that it ended up being reminiscent of water is just, what is there in life that is more ever changing than water? I don't think there's anything. Water can change in a second. Water can be still and you throw a stone in it and now it's disrupted. Or water can be rushing and then you put a blockade upstream and now there's no flow at all. Or, water can erode things over time. Water can fall from the sky and then be reabsorbed up into the air. It's ever changing. It's never exactly the same. And such it is with anxiety. Just like at the beginning of the picture when I wrote on there, anxiety is temporary. Actually, ist temporary. That was an accident, but it's so true. And it always changes. Just like the water is disrupted, but it doesn't stay that way. You don't throw a stone in water and the ripples just stay there. That's not how it works. They do their thing, and then they run their course, and then we're back to still water again. And so it's kind of reminiscent of that, of just riding it out. Yes, things get messy, but they, at least for me, eventually resume back to normal function. We're eventually back to calm waters again. It may take some time, and sometimes it takes longer than other times, but we always get back there. And so that this ended up being kind of that. It was just so incredibly fitting. And I'm like, all right, well, now this all makes sense to me again. And it kind of draws it back into nature as well. Just with the water and the kind of lightning, kind of sort of not. I mean, it's kind of how I envisioned it, though, I guess, was acting like lightning, just like bam, striking when you don't know exactly when or where it's going to hit, but obviously having a different play on that with it being black. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with the background texture. I love that, and that's probably going to be the first thing I do on the next painting, is add texture to the background again. I don't know if I'll do the gesso again to build up those thick layers, or I was also thinking of maybe doing like crumpled paper and like maybe decoupaging like a crinkly background or something like that, but there it guys. So let me know. Let me know if this resonated with you. That's like my favorite thing. Also, what do you see? Because maybe you don't see anxiety at all. Maybe you see something else. Maybe you see a bass guitar neck. Those are strings. I don't know. That's always the most fun part to me, though, is to see what you guys out there are seeing that I'm not seeing. I got so much like good feedback on the last painting. I love that. That's probably my favorite thing about abstract art is the interpretation of it. Because you draw a bird is a bird is a bird. Abstract, there's room for some interpretation. I love that. So, all right. I guess I'm going to end it here. I appreciate y'all watching. I really do. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying this video series or if you just enjoy the sound of my voice. And throw me on in the background, which people have told me they do, which is fine by me. Thank you for inviting me into your home or in your car, or wherever you may be. That's it for now. Hopefully you guys come back here next time, and I'll see you then. So for now, have a great rest of your day, or evening, or weekend, or wherever you are in the span of time. I get more and more awkward on these things, I swear. Alright, you guys, see you on the next one. Bye.